I want to talk about why this Oiko On is so important, because the house of On is on this coin from ancient Greece. And this is Alexandri, and apparently the name of Egypt was D, is what I was guessing like 6 months ago, and I keep proving it. And like in this Hoiko On, the house of On is in the book of Hosea, which Jesus, the name above all names, his other name was Hosea. Why is it that when Jesus is first mentions, the name of his father is not indicated, even in the second or third time, but when his father, none, is mentioned, Jesus is not called Jesus, but Hosea? For his name is written as Hosea among the list of those who were sent to spy out the land. It seems to me that possibility, for the purpose of his office of spying, he's called Hosea and not Jesus, and he is named son of Nun, which is Nahweh. So I had talked about how Hosea was the word for Josiah before this, because in the third book of Kings, even the name of the future king and his acts were thus prophetically described many years before the events took place. And Jeroboam ordained a feast in the 8th month on the 15th day of the month, like unto the feast that is in Judah. And he went up unto the altar which is in Bethel, which he made for the calves, which he made. Then a little further on, and behold, there came a man of God out of Judah by the word of the Lord unto Bethel, and Jeroboam was standing by the altar to burn incense, and he cried against the altar by the way, oh no, I can't read it. But it's true sign, I can't read it because my finger's covering it. It says his name was Josiah, a king named Josiah, a certain king named Josiah. And then the fat of the priests were poured out on the altar. And that's actually what happened, is that like the apostol On, the army of On, formed and killed the priests because they killed Jesus in front of everyone. And so no one wants you to know that like his name was Hosea, because it talks about On. And then you start to see mother On. And that's why they say Amun, I think, because they changed Amen to Amon, which like would have worked like with things that, like people might not have even noticed it, because it's mother Amon. Mother On. But clearly this shows that like the Greek Bible in Hosea that Jesus believed in, because his name was Hosea, like it talks about On, which he could understand, like was hidden. And Jesus' name was hidden, like his name was hidden from the book Sophia Jesus. And his name was hidden from Jesus, Noe, because they don't want you to know his name was Joshua here, which is Hosea, because it talks about the Hoiko. I'm barely conscious, but I still need to show you this. So, number one, you remember how I've been talking about the house of On, I think it's Hele, so it's probably Greek. And then that says On. Like I looked up Zeus coins because I was looking for spellings of Zeus. And what I found was this one, which says Basileus, which is king. And then this says Alexander the Great. Yeah, Alexander the Great makes sense. Which I didn't know that there were coins with Alexander the Great as Zeus like that. But what do we see right here? D. So if like, well, what have I said about D? It's the word for Egypt. So why did I say that? Because Ish Baladi, bread of Egypt. Baladi is what I concluded, is that Ish Baladi is like because it's supposed to be country bread in Egypt. Ish Baladi is I'm trying to be quiet. So bread of Egypt would be Baladi, and then Dia would be Egyptian. But then what they do is they say Zeus is Dios. And then they never talk about Egypt ever in the Bible. Like Egypt has no history. Like Egypt's where the people used to live. No one knows what happened to them. Well, the Vatican knows. They've got the plaque. D. Would a normal person receive an award if they found the unknown name of Egypt, which is like that common in the Bible? Like, and look at how long that word is. but like everything's dia. I've noticed that they do apanta a lot for all, and they also do pantas and for all and panta and like all those different variations. My opinion is it's not the same. Like what you can just add a negation and then it's still the same thing. No, we do that with all. Just that word, it's always all. Like there are like 30 words for all, but that's the way that Greek is with the Greek Bible. Like there are 30 words for enter or to go or to like with has 30 words for it, and to and from has 30 words for it. But clearly there's this word D. How did I find out that Egypt was the word, how D was the word for Egypt? Because this is Alexandri, which I'm wondering if that's punctuation. Like, why is there punctuation there followed by upsilon and then king, Basileus, and then it says D. How did I figure that out? Well, first it started off with like Eshbaladi, which is like bread of Egypt, or it's country bread. And I figured out that bal was bread from something. And I was like, bread of Egypt, baladi. And then I was reading the Bible, and Moses fled to Maadi, or to Mahdi in the Bible. And I know Maadi. I used to live in Egypt. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed was from Maadi in Cairo. I've been to Maadi. My friend Karim, who like he was one of the owners of Souk, which is like Amazon for the Middle East. He's from Maadi. I love Maadi. And so, like, I thought Maadi, it's not in Cairo, it's outside of Cairo, it's outside Egypt. And where would Moses flee? Outside of Egypt. And they would call it Maadi, which was Sudan. And then that's how I got to Dia, which would be like, if you'd done that in Arabic, you would change like a place to a Philistine. Philistine. I don't know what I'm talking about. What I'm trying to say is that, but also there's amen, there's unalad, and then there's this word arch, like archdiocese. You see it like arch irene, like the high priest is called the arch. I can't remember what he's called. Something Iris or something Iris. And so I think that like arch like is a word related to Amid a lot. So like some of you guys think that I like kind of make up some of this stuff. Like it's like I prove it, but do I really? Do I really? This is from Hosea. He talks about the house Hoiko On from Hokia. You can go look it up. Even On, they capitalized it because it's the house of On. That's an omega. That's an omega. So and that says Greece. Hele. And then that says Egypt, and I can't believe I've proved it. Like, you don't even understand. Like, I have trouble accepting that Egypt is Egypt because Dia, but also because Dikaios Sune, like in Dikaios. A lot of these words that aren't Egypt or Egyptian, they really are a different word. And so, but like, I know that like, they're saying like, this is one word. Like everything in the Bible is like, how in the hell do you think apodexominoi, like, I mean, because I think apodexoi, I can't even see it. That's the problem. Like you can't get a Bible that you can read. Like, you don't understand what it's like being the one person that knows Greek. Like you've got to go get a job doing manual labor. Like you can't communicate with the outside world because the cops are on you so hard. Like you're surrounded by cops. Like you've got to, like your whole life is going to go possibly get arrested again. And like all you want to do is try to figure out why on is that. But I think that amon, by the way, like, see how they say theos amon? Like, they say kurios ho, theos amon. Like, I think that amen can be amon. And it also can probably, there's like another one too that it can be, which is like amun, once again. But un can be on. And un, like, is used that much in connection with the word amen. Like if amen's being brought up, then un is being brought up. But like this isn't glory, this is dexia, which would be right, like, and we all know ambidextrous. I found the word Horus, which was like Horus in Acts. So yeah, all I'm saying is the house of On is definitely that's definitely not the same thing. Yeah, but that one is definitely house of On. So I was thinking that amen can be turned into amon. And I mentioned that I had seen amon and amon. And the conclusion I've reached now that I know about on and how important it is that what that's actually saying is mother on. That's like my feeling about it, because there's father, Zeus, right? Father Zeus, like patre, whatever it is, pater Zeus. Like I can't remember how they say it, but like that's a very, very common term in Father Jesus. But like there's no mother on, and so like I think that when it says omon, like it says sons of mother and then it's daughters of mother and again niskoi, young men of mother on, because if I was speaking Arabic, I'd say but the other thing that we all have to recognize is how difficult it becomes when you start talking about aton, because on is an aton. It's in a lot of words, but clearly, if there's anything we know, is that Origin tells us that Jesus's other name was Hosea. I look at Hosea and it's talking about the Hoiko On, the house of On, and we also have a character named Un in the Bible, clearly. And it definitely has a relationship to the word amen. And then this archy, like you can be the first sergeant, you can be the first chair for the band, you can be the first in line, like when you're first, like it's, I think like when you're the beginning, the archy, I think that it's like saying like it's like that is kind of like a term like that. But I do think that like the fact that I found out D is Egypt, and then Dia, because there's Philistina, and then there's Philistini, and then there's, but I think that like Greek can be different, like clearly, but like I think that clearly on, like once we know that on is that important of a word, it's on the freaking coin, we can start to break off it from other words and say mother on, and that's why I think is mother. I'm sure I get boring when I talk about Greek all the time, but you have to understand, like, there's no such person as on. And like I have figured out that there's mother and that's what it is. But there's amon, and that's when I go, I don't know, but it's God of us. It's not of us. But like what I have been thinking about now is apostol on. On is an apostle, because there's nothing like being a religion student as a little kid. And what's an apostle? An apostle is someone that actually knew Jesus, and that's how you're defined as an apostle. And it's someone who like actually knew the physical Jesus. And Paul called himself an apostle because he met Jesus on the road. So, but like, what does stolo mean? Apparently, stolo has to do with army, fleet, armament, troop, people. And the reason I got there is because what happened is I was trying to figure out therapeuo, because like I know therapeuo is to march. Because like I had to memorize therapeuo. What is therapeuo? Well, it's therapy to march all day long, is how I memorized therapeuo when I was in college studying ancient Greek. But this says it's to serve, attend, wait on, court, flatter, honor, win, take care of. But there are words that have to do with army, companion in arms, comrade, and stuff like that. But so because I know ho stratia therapeuo, like to Athene or whatever, like to Athens or something, like would be like the army march to Athens. But I don't see Stratea as army. What it is under Stratea, but it sure is confusing. But but I did see arche. Remember how I was talking about like the head arc, because there's Amen archi, and this is like general stata arche, like So it's like, once again, it's like the first is like the head, like the beginning, because in arch like it is like hologos is the beginning of John, like in it, because it is the beginning, but it's like it is the head, because I guess the head is the beginning. What I'm actually trying to say is that apostolon is like from the army of On, because there's army of On, because there's stolos, army, fleet, armament. And the fact that like I've had so much trouble looking, like Stratea is spelled differently, like in the Greek here. Like I know how to spell Stratea. I like had note cards. Like my entire life was studying note cards. Like during all my other classes, I just studied Greek note cards, and I got a D. I think maybe a C minus or something. But like that's because I was failing Greek. And then on the final, I got like an A, and it brought my grade up to a. So I've definitively proven that On is a character in the Bible, and I mean I've also talked about the house of On, and I've proved that D is a word, and I think I proved that it's Egypt, and I've proved a lot of like really cool things, like how much amen's in the Bible and stuff like that, and Isus had a girl and stuff like that. But how did I learn therapeuo is to march? See, what happened is like I was signed up to take Greek with this one guy, I think Dr. Norquist is his name, and he went crazy and got naked and started running around. I think it was Morrison Hall, the Honors College Hall, and like I guess the police had to tase him or something, or like, I don't know, they arrested him because he was like running around naked. And so I got switched to Dr. Froberg's class, and I was just failing Dr. Froberg's class, and like it was hard. Like I had no idea how hard Greek was, because like he was always talking about declensions, and like he told Italian, or when in what is it, Latin we have this many declensions, and like in Greek we have this many declensions, but like that doesn't, like you have no idea like how confusing that makes Greek when you start talking about declensions. And like we never once opened the Bible, but like he's the one that knows that therapeuo is to march, and he's the one that like is obsessed with gymnast, and I think that's because because she's talking and she's the disciple whom Jesus loved, in John, which is Yonan, which I think Yonan is now the name of a family, and Petros is a family name, but it gets very confusing when you're reading Acts. But that's a character in John, and in that part, Petros seems to be naked, but it would be Simon Petros would be naked, but I don't know, like, and then Jesus comes back and talks to her like, well, Peter's naked, and it doesn't seem to be a big deal if this person's naked, and that's why I think that guy was like kind of baffled about gymnast. But he also, like, he would never teach us that. Like, I feel like the Greek vocabulary words I know are not the same, but I'm also not seeing a lot of the Greek vocabulary words. Like, I don't see hoikia in its hoikia form ever. Like, it's always in another form, which includes hoik. And I'm still confused about whether or not there is a ha in that anyways. I think this might be ele, which was the word for Greece, and then D is the word for Egypt. And that might be short for Alexandri, and it was named after Alexandri. And then that would maybe be a number. I don't know. Yeah.